Good morning and welcome to the NASA Social for the TDRS-K launch. Today we're going to have a variety of speakers present here and really share with you a little bit about this mission. They're also going to share a little bit about what's going on here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. This is our third NASA Social event for 2013, and here we are at the end of January. The year ahead of us has a lot of different opportunities for our social media followers who are following along online at home on NASA TV, and those of you in the room here to really be involved with everything that we have. If you follow us on @NASA, if you follow us on the NASA Facebook page, follow us on our Google Plus page, you can find out about all these wonderful opportunities and participate in one of these on your own. So without further ado, to welcome you here to Kennedy Space Center today, we're going to have Miss Nancy Bray from the social media team here at NASA Kennedy.
Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Good, good. Glad you're all here. As Jason said, I'm Nancy Bray. I do the social media here for Kennedy Space Center. And on behalf of myself, our Center Director, Robert Cabana, Public Affairs Director, Lisa Malone, I want to welcome all of you to Kennedy Space Center. We're really glad you're here. We have a great program lined up for you for the next couple days, and we're really looking forward to spending this time with you. We hope you have a wonderful time here, learning how we launch rockets and all that Kennedy Space Center has to offer. Thanks.
So as I said, this was our third NASA Social event of 2013. So far, we've had pushing 50 and a little above NASA Social events, and we brought in literally thousands of people from across the country and around the world. We're really glad that you guys have taken the time to come and be here today, and we're really appreciative of the fact that you guys get to share in our experiences and that we're able to share with you all everything that we have going on. If you guys are routine followers of NASA's social media, you can find out exactly what we have with our people, our missions, our programs, and our projects, from all of our overarching stuff on the @NASA account all the way down to many of our over 450 social media accounts that are out there for different missions, programs, projects, and people. So if you want to latch onto a little bit of that passion and everything, find a new account, start following today, and really, really, really get involved with the community that's out there. So without further ado, I'd like to start by welcoming our first speaker, Mr. Badri Yunus. He's the Deputy Associate Administrator for the NASA SCAN office, which is the Space Communications and Networking Group at NASA headquarters. So he's here to tell you a little bit about the overall network and why the TDRS-K mission fits into that. So without further ado.
Thank you, Jason. Well, good morning, everyone. Hopefully, if all goes well, tomorrow we'll have a successful launch of our TDRS-K spacecraft. The TDRS-K spacecraft is a critical element of the space network. The space network is one of three networks that's managed by the SCAN program office. And I'm the Deputy Associate Administrator with responsibility for overseeing all of these activities, putting out the policies and managing all activities related to space communication and navigation, in addition to spectrum management, as well as data standards. This is my second opportunity before the social media. The first time I had it recently, actually at Goldstone. And I discovered that you guys are the best friends that someone can have. So I don't know who attended the event at Goldstone. Hopefully, we have repeaters that people can shuttle around the country covering these events. But I discovered your love for space and your belief in NASA. We share that belief. We share in our vision of the future, and hopefully we'll never disappoint you. I have a series of charts that I would like to go over my program, and to educate you somehow on what we do and where we are going. This is the program office. Our responsibility is to definitely managing all activities related to Spacecom and Nav, and we also enable related technology. With all of these assets that have evolved over time, one independent from the other, I have a responsibility now to integrate all activities into a single cohesive network of networks. In the process, we eliminate redundancy, and we save some money for the taxpayers, but also we prepare the stage for the future explorers that the future explorers will not be bounded by the boundaries of each network. They will crisscross these boundaries, and they will need the kind of seamless communication and capabilities that we can provide for them. So we are paving the ground for that to happen. We continue to expand the capabilities, and we introduce technology in support of both human and robotic missions. We manage spectrum, as I said. We do the data standards as well as navigation standards. We are the ones that put out the policy related to positioning, navigation, and timing, the PNT. So we are involved with GPS, and we collaborate with other government agencies. And my office is responsible for negotiating with foreign entities on behalf of NASA for anything that relates to these areas of responsibilities. Next chart. So what do we do? We are the AT&T, the Verizon. We are all of these companies that provide telecommunications capabilities to get the data, the information from point A to point B. We don't act on the data. We just, we are the carrier of the message. We try to enable the users to get all of their messages and all of their data when they need it, where they need it, across the globe. And also, we go well beyond the globe, throughout the solar system, supporting the planetary missions, all the way to the edge of the solar system. We have a spacecraft that has crisscrossed these boundaries. You all heard about VJ, Voyager. It's getting there. We are debating whether we've gone beyond the edge of the solar system or not, but we are at that edge. Next chart. We have an extensive infrastructure distributed worldwide, from the North Pole all the way down to the South Pole. And we have these networks color-coded. You can see the green represent the near-Earth network. It caters to anything around Earth, very in proximity, of Earth, all the way to 2 million kilometers. This is the boundary of near-Earth and deep space. We also have the Deep Space Network, 3 stations distributed worldwide, separated by 120 degrees one from the other, to provide 24/7 support to all of our deep space missions. And they are colored in burgundy. Burgundy, I like wine, so I don't know whether this is burgundy or not. And we have the blue color, which represent the space network. We have the 2 main stations down in New Mexico. They are supposed to provide redundancy, backup, and continuity of operation, one with respect to the other. But later on, I will touch on the reason why we also have another remote station operated in Guam as part of the space network. Next chart. So nothing goes on board the space station without going through us. Once we launch the spacecraft, any mission, it's in our hand, its future, its well-being. Anything pertaining to the mission of that particular vehicle, requires our attention and requires the kind of support or enabling support that will allow it to carry on with its mission. So prior to the station, we provided also support to the shuttles, the orbiter. In addition to that, people don't know that we support all of the launches that take place here in the United States. Any mission that launches from here, it has our assets pointing to it, supporting it all the way to its destination. And so we are preparing the stage for the future, as I said, to make sure that the future human exploration will be carried forward as contemplated, as planned, and without having to worry about communications. If I go from low Earth orbit to a higher orbit all the way to deep space, do I need so many sets of equipment? That's a lot of burden. That's a lot of cost. It takes a lot of space on the vehicle. My challenge is to have it seamless to them, trying to integrate all of these capabilities into a single box so that they don't have to worry about comm and, and making space for other scientific and other activities on board the vehicle. Next chart. What are the missions we support? We support everything, from astrophysics to heliophysics to space exploration to whatever, space research. You know, anything you can think of has to go through our assets. You know, for example, looking at the origin of the universe, the Hubble telescope, without our capabilities, in particular the space network that provides real-time support, continuous data flow between the mission and the mission operations center. Without it, it couldn't have been possible. All of these beautiful images of the stars and the universes and the galaxies that are born and those who are dying, that goes through us. Same thing when we talk about planetary mission. The lunar orbiter, as well as the Mars orbiter, as well as the recent landing of the Mars Space Laboratory, or Surface Laboratory, science. You know, all of the pictures have been carried to you by us. So we, you know, we do a lot of activities around Earth. Our attention is not just to deep space. Around Earth, we do a lot of Earth observation, from climate to studying the atmosphere, stratosphere, all of the layers, studying pollution, studying the state of health of the oceans and whatever. All of this done through the NASA mission, and sometime in collaboration with other space agencies. And I see people hurrying me, so you have to bear with me. Next chart. This is our mission. You know, NASA told us, you'll enable the users, you'll build super duper, set of capabilities. We want you to increase the data rate. We want you to provide for support on Mars, on the moon, everywhere, while meeting your present commitment to the customer. This Volkswagen that you have, we want you to transform it to the Lamborghini of the future without losing a single bit of data and without new money. Next chart. So this is our vision. We cannot afford it now, but we can build the kind of infrastructure, the architecture that's scalable. We build what we can. We do the best with what we can. We strive for efficiency to build the kind of technologies that can evolve. You know, it does not like later on we have to stovepipe. You know, we have something that's fully integrated that will carry us into the future very solidly. Next chart. I talked about the three networks. They all have different characteristics. They are managed and operated by different performance centers. The Deep Space Network is operated and managed by JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It focuses on primarily deep space. That's why they have the huge antennas, 70 meter and 34. Why? Because they catered and they focus on faint signals. You are talking about something of energy that's not detectable without the super duper cool kind of electronics, and as well as the huge antennas. You need big ears to hear someone talking from a distance, you know. Now the Near Earth Network, what I talked about, successful model, managed and operated by Goddard Space Flight Center, caters primarily to Earth's observation satellites. It's a model of where NASA went to the commercial sector, at least for 50% of our business, where we can find providers in the commercial sector to provide services. We go there. We don't build them, we like it. We build them because they are not out there. Our market is unique, and we only build what the market does not provide. We have primarily polar orbiting satellite going around Earth to get the repeated pictures of the globe, you know, because you need the repetition to be able to study the trend over time. So they dump their data at the North Pole and at the South Pole. We have facilities over there. You know, I like it because I have to travel and visit these places. So I do a lot of frequent, one of the frequent flyers, you know, that United can be proud of. We also have the space network. Now, in time when you can afford long delay in transmission, you need near real-time support. Like two humans are talking on the phone. Hello? You cannot wait forever to get the message. You really want this near real-time support. So that's where we, and the space network by itself is the newest of all networks. The others date back 40, 50 years. And prior to the space network, we relied on a bunch of worldwide distributed ground stations, over 20 on the ground. We had 5 ships, 5 aircraft. We can get to it shortly. Next. No. So this is the DSN, as I talked about. And we have one in Madrid, Spain, Canberra, Australia. Actually, Tinbinbilla, near Canberra, the capital of Australia, the federal capital. And we have the biggest one is in Goldstone, California. Next. This is the kind of images recently brought to you by SCAN. You know, we had to time the landing such that we had the MRO right on top of it to take the picture of the spacecraft as it deploys its parachute and lands on Mars. It's not easy, you know, to do the navigation and all of this preparation. It's like having, if you play golf, you know, kick the ball from New York and having to make birdie where? In Bimbilla, Australia. It's very hard. A lot of math and science go into it. Next. This is the Near-Earth network, as I talked about, distributed worldwide, primarily North and South Pole. We also have a location here in Wallops, at Wallops. And we have also sometimes we rely on the Air Force for support through some of their ground station. Next. The space network. Until recently, until 2009, we operated 9 of them. 1 through 10. TDRS 1 through 10. TDRS 2, we lost it on this Challenger incident. And by the way, yesterday marked a solemn occasion, this 27th anniversary of the loss of the shuttle, along with the 7 heroes that fallen. That's in their memory, you know. Their loss did not go to waste. In their memory, we built for the future. We try to endeavor to do things better and to provide for future generation. So F2 also was on the shuttle. We lost it. But the 2 spacecraft, we retired recently because they well passed their expected life expectancy. We designed them for 7 years, on orbit a few more years. They lived for 27 years. So that's NASA, you know, really strived for efficiency. And if it still works, you know, we'll keep on using it. You know. So the support that we got from TDRS 1, and if you don't realize, TDRS 1, the first spacecraft, it's in the Guinness Book of Records. You know, for providing, you know, communication from the North Pole to the South Pole. It was done in 1999. As well as assisted NSF and a few other organizations when they needed that support. Dr. Jerry Nielsen, she was at the Antarctica, and she had medical problems, so we assisted in that. Why that? You know, we assisted in her treatment, as well as a few other occasions. Why did we do that? Because we could. The network is so versatile, it's so robust. Our spacecraft are geosynchronous. They are not geostationary. We allow them to be inclined. As they incline, you know, they form a figure 8, allowing them to see the North Pole and the South Pole. So this is the benefit of the TDRS, as well as the benefit of the rest of the constellation, providing near real time to all of the NASA users. Next chart. This is how we started. You know, the cost of operating 20 stations around the globe, some of them in countries you don't want to go to, you know. So dangerous, you know. But we needed the footprint. The footprint of the spacecraft was critical for us to have a station in that location. But the cost was tremendous, having to operate and to maintain, sending people constantly from the States to the station to fix them, to operate them, to maintain them, was costly, in addition to finding a qualified labor at these places to operate them and, you know, help us in operating them and maintaining them. So we came up with the concept that as you go further from Earth, your footprint starts to get larger. With 2 data relay satellites, looking down at Earth, you can see 85% of what's happening on the globe, and except for an exclusion zone, it remains blind to you. You know, about a small segment over the Pacific here, that anything below 1,200 kilometer, you couldn't be supported. So, but it would increase the support from 15% that we had before, which was not acceptable, to 85%. And we designed architected the network to have one also additional spare satellite, just in case one of them fail, we can move it there. Now, with the success of the space network, everyone was coming to us, new requirement requiring the kind of support that the space network provided. Next chart. So this is where we were before. The green area is the kind of support we provided to the human flight programs and to any other mission that got supported through these ground stations. Next. Now, with what we did with the space network and the augmentation we did, we go to 100% coverage with TDRS. Near real time, continuous data flow. That's critical for some of these missions. Next. And that's when we added, in 1998, we added a terminal in Guam. We operated remotely from the White Sands. The cost is well contained, but it provides coverage for that small segment of space where we did not have coverage. Next chart. It gives you the launch date of all of the TDRSs, marked when we retired the TDRS-1 in 2009, and that was an emotional thing for us. All of us who grew with TDRS, and saw all of the kind of things it did to support the nation, to support the, economically as well as in other areas, to see it retiring, it was an emotional experience for all of us. But nothing lives forever. That's why we need to replenish the constellation constantly. 2014 is 2013 with the launch of TDRS-K in here. It's when we need it, because we need to have 7 operational spacecraft, 6 of them online and 1 hot spare, to meet our requirement, our present requirements. And as some of these spacecraft retire, like TDRS-3 will be retired in a year or so. Many of the capabilities have failed. We expect 5 and 6 to follow. So we need to launch TDRS-L next year. As far as TDRS-M, we are doing the reliability study to determine when do we need to launch it. I don't expect it to be earlier than 15 or 16. The thing is that we do diligence, we do the kind of analysis and studies to make sure we are doing the right thing in a cost-efficient manner for the agency as well as for the country. Next chart. This is my summary. We are doing so much more with a lot less. This is the message I wanted to carry. But we are the vanguard of enabling capabilities and support to all of our missions. Without SCAN, there is no NASA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Badri. We've got time for one question before we move on. I see one question here.
With this new generation of the TDRS satellites, are they actually improving on systems that we have in place, or are they kind of built just to replace the systems?
Now, the genius of NASA is we designed the kind of capability that if you are to really implement any improvement, you don't have to go to space to do it. You do it on the ground. So we designed our satellites to be bent pipe. That means they take the data and they relay it back to Earth. All of the improvement, all of the capabilities that we have added, from demand access to expanding the bandwidth and so forth, we've done on the ground, all in close to real time.
Wonderful, then. Thank you very much, Badri.
Thank you.
Next up, from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Service Program, we have Michael Woltman. He's a vehicle systems engineer, and he's here to tell you a little bit about the vehicle and how they prepare rockets for launch.
Good morning. So thank you, Badri. Eunice, that's a very good explanation of the scan and how important TDRS is to us. I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later, how we use TDRS on the launch vehicle. As he explained, it's really important for us and how we move forward in the generation and launching our rockets. But tell you about myself real quick. First of all, you introduced me as Michael. Everybody here at the center calls me Mick. The only time I'm called Michael is when my wife yells at me. I started out, I heard somebody earlier say they're from Memphis. I graduated from Tennessee Tech in Cookeville, so go Vols. Very good job. Good. I've been with the Launch Services Program since 2000. Prior to that, I actually worked for Lockheed Martin on the Atlas program, working with Atlas rockets. Somebody here said, I'm glad to hear all of you excited about space, but somebody here said this was their 8th, something like that, 8th or 9th, Tom? Today, TDRS-K will be my 60th Atlas launch. Yes. So I'm very happy. And hearing Badri talk about that, I was actually here and part of the launch team that launched TDRS-K in March 2002. So I'm very glad to see that we're getting TDRS-K, the next generation of TDRS satellites up there. And the reason for that is, as you'll see later today when you go out to the pad, you'll get to see the Atlas rocket with TDRS on it. We use the TDRS network to get all our telemetry back from the vehicle during its ascent. That's very important to us in the Launch Services Program because we have a team of engineers and a team of analysts that have been working for years on this, and it's great to watch the telemetry, evaluate the telemetry, and do our job to make sure we have a mission success and get the spacecraft into orbit for Goddard Space Flight Center and SCAN. So let me tell you a little bit about Launch Services Program here at Kennedy Space Center. What we do is, like I said, we have engineers and analysts in our group. We begin by teaming up with the projects, in this case TDRS-K from Goddard, and we help them select a launch vehicle. We basically broker a launch vehicle, get them a launch vehicle so that they can get to space and get their satellite on orbit. By doing that, I don't know if many of you know this, but that process actually can take several years to get to this day. So you'll hear a little bit later from Jeff Gramling, I think, the TDRS project manager. Tomorrow is going to be an exciting day, or today is going to be an exciting day for him when we get this thing launched, because it's been several years to get to this point, and they would love to see spacecraft separation successfully, and Badri would like to see that on orbit to support SCAN. So that's a little bit about where we are from that. The Atlas V vehicle, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. Again, you're going to hear this hopefully a little bit later when you take your tour out at the pad today. But tell you a little bit about this. The vehicle we're getting ready to launch is the 35th Atlas V. It's actually the 30th here from Cape Canaveral. There's been 5 from Vandenberg. The tail number for the vehicle is AV36. And the vehicle is a 401 series. How many of you know what the 401 stands for on the Atlas? Yeah? 4-meter fairing, right? 0 is no solids, right? And the 1 is a single-engine Centaur on the upper stage, correct. So that's how they designate the vehicle. So this is a 401 vehicle, 4-meter fairing, no solids, single-engine Centaur. I saw Badri put up MRO and the MSL mission earlier, and those were a little bigger vehicles, different designations with some strap-ons and some things like that. So that one of the other things we do here at Launch Services Program is not only support launches here from the Kennedy Space Center or Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, but we have many launch sites. We support many different contractors. In this case, it's United Launch Alliance. Ooh, that was a slip. United Launch Alliance for the Atlas V. But we do have many launch facilities around the area. We launch from here at Cape. We have Vandenberg Air Force Station, Kodiak, Alaska, Kwajalein in the Marshall Islands. So a lot like Badri, I kind of enjoy my job too because I get to travel a little bit. My boss, when she first introduced me to my job as a senior vehicle engineer, we joke that the Launch Services Program is Latin for TDY. Yeah, okay. You guys are a tough crowd, aren't you? But other than that, I can tell you that working in the Launch Services Program, it's a passion. We are a small family of engineers and analysts that love our job. We work on these day in and day out to work with the projects. to get this, and to see the launch is a culmination of excitement for us. I mean, we, like I said, I can't stress enough of how much I love being here in the launch services program and seeing this. I heard many of you talking when you introduced yourselves about how excited you are for your first launch, or maybe your second launch, or how excited you are about space. Well, since I was 10 years old, this is what I've wanted to do, and I'm loving it. And I would encourage you to, I'd love to see the social event like this, that you're getting out and tweeting and Facebooking and encouraging others to get involved in space. I mean, that is an important thing for our nation as we move forward. And just a brief moment, I'll talk a little bit. Other things that we're doing here at Kennedy Space Center is, you know, the shuttle retirement. So we're moving forward, looking at what we can do with commercial vehicles also for human space flight, things like that. Launch Services program is involved with that also. We have a cadre of expertise in our program that is used around this center, and we love just getting involved and working on different types of missions and vehicles and getting our hands into it. One of the things I can share with you, not only myself, but several of the people I work with, you know, people laugh when they hear this. We are engineers. I'm an electrical engineer. I heard somebody say that earlier. I'm an electrical engineer. I have a lot of friends in my organization that are aerospace engineers, mechanical engineers, analysts. But you know what one of our favorite hobbies is to do outside of work? Anybody want to guess? We build model rockets. Yeah, we do. We build model rockets and compete with them, and it's a lot of fun. So on that, I will say thank you very much for coming today, and on behalf of the Launch Services Program and Amanda Mickiewicz, our program manager, you guys enjoy your tour today, and go Atlas, go Centaur, go TDRS-K.
So we've got time for some questions about launching rockets and everything, and so if folks want to raise their hand, wait for a mic to come to you, and we'll ask a few questions here.
Hi, my name is Joey Vars. I'm from Tampa. Cool. I'm from Tampa, Florida. And my question is, if the TDRS Atlas does get delayed further tomorrow, how would this affect Landsat operations out at Vandenberg for 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, that's a good question. Landsat LDCM mission is scheduled to launch out of Vandenberg February 11th. So what we would do in our program is if TDRS-K did get delayed, let's say till a day, the team is already on standby, ready to go to do post-flight analysis, analytical analysis of the flight, even if we have a 24-hour delay, to try to get that done as fast as possible to make sure we don't have any impact on the launch out in Vandenberg. Okay, there is a time period our NASA launch manager will look at of how far we can, how many times we could slip if we had to, before we started impacting the next launch date. And then there would have to be a decision made not only by our program but by the agency along with the TDRS-K project of how we get there. So currently right now there's no impact with the 24-hour delay. We do have that built in. We do build in some time for that after each launch. But if it did slip past that time, there would definitely be a lot of discussions going on how that works, and then a very quick analysis after launch to make sure we don't impact the next vehicle.
Questions? Other questions? Don't be shy, guys. Here we go.
Yeah, don't apologize. Don't be shy. I love answering questions.
Hi. I didn't actually realize until you started talking that the numbers designating different series signified actual useful information as opposed to just numerical information. Can you talk a little bit more about that? That's actually really interesting.
Yes. The Atlas 5 is actually a how do I put this? The Atlas is an evolved vehicle. We started out with, many of you probably remember, with the first Atlas booster, 10B, that was launched way back in the 60s. That was an Atlas booster, old ICBM. The vehicle has actually evolved since then to become what we know today as an Atlas 5. We went through an Atlas 1 series, which was an Atlas with a Centaur, and then an Atlas 2, which had upgraded avionics, and an Atlas 2AS, which was then upgraded avionics with solids strapped on. And then we went to an Atlas 3, which was the integration of the RD-180 into the Atlas booster, and now we're at the Atlas 5. Throughout the whole program, the program has used a numbering system to designate the vehicle two things, the AV being Atlas 5, or previously it was AC, Atlas Centaur, and then the number, in this case it's tail number 36. A tail number is assigned to the launch vehicle for manufacturing and getting through. Now, when we moved to Atlas V, we also adopted the numbering of the 401, the 521, and so that we could keep track of the configuration of the vehicle, being a 4-meter fairing or a 5-meter fairing. Are we flying 1 solid or 2 solids or 3 solids or 5 solids, like Pluto New Horizons was a 551, 5-meter, 5 solids, single-engine Centaur. The Atlas V vehicle is designed, has the capability of having a 2-engine Centaur, but we've not flown one to date. So we've only done a single, so all of our numbers have ended in 1. So that's where the numbering comes from a manufacturing configuration tracking. You're welcome.
Other questions?
Yeah, once the Atlas V gets human rated, how is that going to affect launch operations and your manifest out here? Because it looks like you guys are pretty booked already. Are you going to need more facilities or personnel?
That's a really good question. I can tell you that we're still assessing that from the aspect of how we in Launch Service Program would support that. But of course, Ed Mango and his group and Commercial Crew are still also looking at that on how a commercial vehicle, be it an Atlas V or anything else, gets human rated, what would need to be done either with the launch facility at Launch Complex 39 to be a multi-use launch pad, or whether we would use the contractor's pad still at 41 or 40 if it were an Atlas V, and how that would go. Now, from an analytical engineering standpoint, we in Launch Services Program are poised to support, just like we would now for an unmanned mission, on how we would go about doing analytical work and insight and oversight of the launch vehicle. Again, we're still looking at how much more would be required, but we are prepared to support that and move forward for our future in the nation.
We've got time for one more question. Who's got a question? Here we go.
I'm going to go a little bit different route. Here, interested specifically for our youth. And message to the youth, I come from a rural area in the Midwest, and we do have some success as far as our students being very interested in STEM. And so an outreach today in regards to what do you tell our students that are young and interested in space and the opportunities they might have? What would you say to them as far as trying to get involved with that?
Yeah, that's great. Youth is a passion of mine also as a volunteer youth director with my church, but also in space. I love talking to kids at school. Here at NASA, if you're not familiar, just to pause from your question a little bit, we do have a great outreach program you should probably get a hold of for your STEM stuff, to get some speakers out there and also do some demos of some rocket stuff and all that. But if I were standing in front of a bunch of youth today, what I would tell you is continue your dreams, continue moving forward what you're doing. Math and science, very important. Also your English, and I can tell you that in a minute. But I would say continue moving forward, doing what you are planning to do. If you have a dream to work in space or do anything, keep moving forward to it and keep working at it. You may run into some bumps along the way, like many of us have, but if you put your mind to it, you will get there. And I can only tell you that it is so gratifying to be able to sit in the launch complex or the launch control room and watch, like some of you will today, see the rocket leave the pad and watch the many years that you've put into this. It's just, I can't even put into words how exciting it is to see the vehicle lift off the pad and then to hear the guy on the comm say spacecraft separation, mission success. It's great. And that is the end product of doing it. So keep moving forward and doing it, and don't let anybody stop you from moving forward to your dreams.
Wonderful, then. Thank you very, very much for taking time to join us today. We're going to shift gears here a little bit and talk about some of the stuff that's happening here on the ground at Kennedy Space Center. So next up, we have Jeremy Parsons, and he's the technical manager for operations for the Ground Systems Development Group here at Kennedy Space Center.
Thank you all, and good morning. As was mentioned, my name is Jeremy Parsons. I work in the Ground Systems Development and Operations Program here at Kennedy Space Center. I'm a technical manager there, which means I have responsibility for a lot of the operations planning activities that are going on. And really just to kind of, we're talking a lot about the launch coming up tomorrow, but what our program's really focused on is the future. We have a lot of activities going on now, but what we're really interested in is shaping the future of exploration with regards to our launch capabilities, as well as shaping the future of Kennedy Space Center here with our vision for a multi-use spaceport. For those of you that aren't aware, with the retirement of the shuttle back in 2011, with the last flight of STS-135, we are moving towards kind of a new era of human space exploration. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the SLS, the Space Launch System, and the Orion launch vehicle. So what we're doing here is we're laying the groundwork to be able to process and launch those assets. So the SLS right now is currently scheduled to launch in December of 2017. That's the first uncrewed test flight. And for those, again, that you don't know, the SLS right now is intending for the first 2 flights, it's going to use a 5-segment solid rocket booster strapped to a core stage that's made up of, really, it's using a lot of heritage shuttle hardware, but it's using 4 space shuttle main engines, RS-25s. And then you're going to have a procured ICPS, or interim cryogenic propulsion stage, that will get the Orion into the proper orbit, and then obviously the Orion will go on top of that. The Orion program is moving along really quite well, and so that'll be able to launch 4 crew to numerous different deep space destinations. It actually has a test flight planned for 2014, and we're calling that Exploration Flight Test 1, and that's really what they're going to do is they're going to send it up, they're going to get the Orion going 20,000 miles per hour, and then bring it back in. So they can test the heat shield, they can test really how all the systems react in that sort of environment. And what we're doing is we're getting it ready to go launch humans in the future. And so kind of what all these assets are building to is our exploration program is working towards what we call a capability-driven framework. So what that means is we're going to build on our exploration capabilities piece by piece. So we're going to start with, we're going to have a launch vehicle. We're going to have a crewed human capability, right? So that'll take us beyond low Earth orbit, and we'll be able to go to a deep space destination. And then we're going to add further capabilities that allow us kind of go further and further out into deep space, with the ultimate goal being to get to Mars. So for example, the SLS is going to start out as a 70-ton launch vehicle. I mean, that's still massive. We're talking a 320-foot tall vehicle. It's going to have quite a bit of capability. So we're going to start there, but that's eventually going to evolve over a number of years to a 130-ton class launch vehicle, which will be the most powerful rocket really ever built. And at that point, it'll move from 320 feet tall to 380 feet tall. So that's kind of just laying the exploration groundwork. What we're doing here at Kennedy is we're preparing all of the infrastructure and assets we need to be able to make all of that happen. The other thing that we're doing is that we're making Kennedy Space Center a multi-use spaceport. So we have a vision for what we can do out here. We have a number of unique, one-of-a-kind capabilities, infrastructure. When you look at places like the Vehicle Assembly Building, which if you drove over the bridge coming into Merritt Island, you can see it from many miles out. It's one of the tallest buildings, one of the largest buildings in the world, I guess I should say, one of the largest buildings. It's standing over 525 feet tall. It's massive on the inside. And so that's not something we can easily duplicate. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go in and we're going to take out all the old Apollo shuttle era platforms and High Bay 3, right? And then we're going to modify that and make it ready for stacking the SLS. But we're putting a little bit of a twist on that, which means that we're not just going to set it up to where it can only stack the SLS, to where you have one configuration and it can only process the SLS. What we're going to do is we're going to make it to where we have reconfigurable platforms. So the idea is we'll be able to process any number of launch vehicles through that high bay. So for example, if you come in there with an SLS, you have one platform configuration, but then say down the road, some other launch vehicle, some new launch vehicle wants to come in, they need a vertical integration capability. We'll be able to change the elevation of those platforms, change the diameters of those platforms to where we'll be able to process through any number of different launch vehicle variants in a vertical configuration. Which is really pretty exciting stuff. And the idea here is we want to be able to make our assets available to a number of different users. We want to increase the manifest out here. And we really want to drive down the cost of space exploration to where, again, any number of users can open it up. As part of that, what we have is, so I talked about the vertical integration capability at the VAB being multi-use, but then we also have launch pads. So probably one of the most recognizable assets that we have out at Kennedy Space Center is the launch pads, right? You've all seen it with shuttle launches. It's been photographed innumerable times. So what we've done here is we've taken Launch Complex 39B, and we've actually really started modifying that. And what we're doing is we're making it, again, a multi-use launch pad. So one of the first things we did is we went out there and we knocked down the fixed service structure and the rotating service structure that were used in shuttle. So now you have a clean pad. We put up 3 600-foot tall lightning towers, so that'll really protect for just about any vehicle that wants to come through there. And then so we've really brought it down to a clean surface. We then went through and removed, I think it was somewhere around over 1 million miles of cable that was underneath all that area there. And it's just, I mean, again, this was Apollo to shuttle, and so now we're just bringing it out, we're refurbing it all to prepare it for the new exploration program. So now we have a clean pad surface. And so again, in the future, if another user wants to come in, put their own kind of mobile launch platform out there, they will be able to use that launch pad. And again, a launch pad is not something that can be easily duplicated, right? That's a whole lot of cost for someone to come in and use. So if they can use our asset for a time period that we're also using for SLS, boy, that's great. You know, they get a low cost of entry and we get multiple flights out of this area. And really, that's, again, behind our vision, right? We want to make KSC affordable, we want to make it sustainable, and we want to have it to be a busy, robust spaceport. So again, at the pad, one of the other things that we've done, again, when I say it's a clean pad, what that means is that we want to push most of our SLS and Orion processing work back into the VAB, do our vertical integration there, and then we want to roll out and launch as quickly as possible. With the shuttle, you had about a 30-day pad flow. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that to 10 days or less. And really what we're shooting is 7 days or less for our pad processing flow. And what that means is that we have the vehicle less exposed to the environments. You have less risk. So you're trying to do all of your processing in a good, controlled environment, roll out and launch as quickly as possible. So it's kind of a departure of our operations concept. What the SLS and Orion will actually launch off of is a mobile launcher. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of it. We built it originally for the Ares 1 under Constellation. We built the structure of it, I should say. And when Constellation was canceled and we moved to doing the SLS program and the Orion programs, what we said is, well, we've invested quite a bit of money in this structure, so we engineered a way to where we can use that for the new exploration program. And so the ML, if you actually drive out through the LC Launch Complex area, it's hard to miss. It stands 355 feet tall. You can see it from miles around. And it's really a neat structure. And what we did is we enlarged the flame hole on it from the Ares 1 design. And then we enclosed a certain amount of structure, and we've designed all new systems for it. But we're going to be able to use it for the SLS. So what that means is this mobile launcher, we're going to stack the SLS and Orion on top of that. We're going to take it on the crawler transporters out to the launch pad, and we're going to actually be able to launch it off there. And then we just reel it right back into the VAB, and you can refurb the entire tower. And so again, that's all part of the idea of having a clean pad where you don't have all this standing structure out there in the environments right next to the beach. And we're going to be able to kind of keep it enclosed and inside the VAB for the most part. Kind of looking a little bit broader at the Space Center, we're also doing design work on the shuttle landing facility. So there you have a one-of-a-kind landing strip. This is one of the largest runways in the world. And so we want to be able to use that for other space endeavors. And so what we're doing is we're looking at bringing in horizontal takeoff, horizontal landing type vehicles, similar to Virgin Galactic, something along those lines that could use this runway. And so we're talking a lot about what services they need and what we can provide. And actually, even at the end of the landing strip there, we've established some vertical takeoff, vertical landing type capabilities where folks are doing test flights and things along those lines. So I kind of was trying to give you a little bit of a broad perspective of what we're doing here to support the exploration program. I would say if I'm talking too fast or if you have questions, you know, definitely I will encourage questions, and I'll finish up here shortly. What our specific job is within the operations group is really stuff that I get pretty excited about. So we've stood up an operations team that's really leveraging the experience of the engineers that worked on shuttle, that worked on LSP, and really across the board. And what we're doing is we're trying to get them involved early in the design of the SLS and the Orion vehicle. So what that means is, for example, we have a number of folks that are used to operating these systems, that have run launch countdowns. And so we're telling them, okay, what do you want out of the design of this vehicle? What do you want out of the design of those ground systems? And the idea behind that is we want to make these systems easy to use. We want to make them easy to maintain. We want to make them highly reliable and really sustainable, right? Because that's the idea. You don't want a ton of manpower to run these systems over and over and over. You want to do it as optimal as possible. So we're doing things like, for example, we establish reliability targets, right? So we want our systems to be, over 99% reliable on the day of launch for the ground systems perspective. So what we do then is we go through each of our ground systems designs, we do detailed requirements and reliability analysis modeling, and then this is the operations team I'm talking about. And then, for example, we make recommendations. So if they have a single box that's the most likely failure, well, we say, hey, you can change that out with a more reliable part. We also do simulations analysis. So for example, if you're going to go conduct a really complex mission to Mars, you're going to want to launch a number of different missions within a relatively short time frame, and you want them to be able to mate up on orbit, and you need to have high chance of success, obviously. So what we do, for example, is we run simulations here where we figure out, okay, here's how long I think it's going to take me to process and launch a vehicle. Here's how many assets I need in order to do that. Here's the chance of success. You can incorporate modeling for weather, for any sorts of events. And as we change our designs, we can measure how are we doing relative to those targets we need in order to have a certain loss of mission risk. So that's what a lot of our team does. The other thing we do is we go through and figure out exactly how we're going to process this vehicle, and we relay that all back to the design center. And so, for example, if we need additional access doors in the vehicle, if we need access to certain heights, locations, et cetera, that's all stuff that we relay to them and that we work through. And the idea, again, is that by the time that vehicle gets here, we've already worked out in a 3D environment exactly how we're going to be able to process it. We have detailed knowledge of where everything needs to be, and so we can hit the ground running and get this SLS launched in December of 2017. So that was really about all I had for kind of the main talking points. What I would also say is that GSDO, here locally, our ground systems organization, we're really proceeding along according to schedule, and we're doing really well. We just completed our systems requirements review, which for those of you that don't know, it's a critical milestone where we go through and we say, what are all the requirements for the program? What are all the things we need to deliver? And we have it vetted by a cross-program, cross-agency type team of folks. And so they look at your schedule, your budget, and really all of the details you've done to this point. And we passed it with flying colors, and we're proceeding on to preliminary design review, which we're going to hit early next year, about January of 2014. So again, all of our systems are really moving along well, and I guess I'll open it up for questions.
Questions, guys? Don't be shy.
Have there been a lot of have there been a lot of requests for the horizontal landing strip recently?
Well, so there's been a lot of interest, I would say. As far as agreements signed and things like that, there's a number of discussions ongoing. But we've talked to a number of different companies. I mean, as you know, that's an area of space that's really getting a lot of interest, right? Because they're interested in commercial space flight and getting tourists up there and things along those lines. So there's companies like Xcor, Virgin Galactic, and Maston that are all kind of spinning up looking at this. So what we've done is we've talked to them about our capabilities. A lot of them are actually looking at our engineers to some degree for experience. So I would say there's a lot of interest, but really at this point, discussions are ongoing. And I would also say that what we're doing is we're looking at designing the infrastructure that's required. So we've talked to a number of different customers, a number of different users, and what we're doing is figuring out what they need out there in order to process vehicles.
Good morning, sir. Hope my question is not political in any sense, but it was exciting to hear you talk about the different things that NASA is looking into in terms of its expansion and different ventures going forward. How much is NASA actually looking, or should I ask, is NASA looking to becoming a spaceport here at Kennedy versus an open project market where in other words, are we looking at something like the space shuttle where it's an ongoing program, or just a spaceport for different ventures to come in? I'm hoping that we're going back to some kind of programs where we have ongoing launches and ongoing capabilities and things like that.
I mean, I think the answer, in a lot of ways is yes, right? So we want to do both. So SLS and Orion is kind of what I would consider to be an anchor tenant for a lot of these assets. You need a VAB and a vertical integration capability to process the SLS and Orion. You need a launch pad. So we're already building those assets. What we're saying is that, depending on the manifest, there could be a lot of capacity that is available for other users. So for example, in order to process the Orion. We need hazardous processing capabilities. We need to be able to put in hypergol propellant. We need to be able to pressurize high pressure tanks. And so if there's another user that could come in there, say out of 1 month, 2 months out of the year, and use those same capabilities, great. I mean, that's kind of a win-win scenario for everyone. So that's kind of the vision here. And so, when I talked about the vertical integration capability in the VAB, if another user could come in and we can use our reconfigurable platforms to also process that vehicle, it'll probably save NASA some money in the long run, but it'll also help the commercial industry kind of move on and move forward. So the answer is yes, it's going to be both. I think SLS and Orion will really be the anchor tenant of a lot of these capabilities, but we'd love to see it used by a number of different folks.
We've got time for one more question.
There was recently, a few months back on the news, that you were looking at the possibility of finding buyers for the shuttle landing facility and maybe one of the launch pads and properties and things around here. Is that still a possibility, or is it more like a lease option? Or you were hearing all different kinds of things in different of the media.
So I'll probably be too careful, and I'll let one of these PAO folks answer it before too long. But there are a lot of discussions ongoing. What I know KSC has done is we submitted a request for information to see kind of who wanted to use some of the assets that are available. The shuttle landing facility has a number of customers that are already ongoing, so I don't really know what the discussions are there. But I think in general, there's interest. There's definitely still some talking about lease options, but I think that one is probably a little bit above my head as far as politically what's all going on there. I know that we're supporting them in any assessments. But.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Cool.
So we've got a special treat next. We have Dr. Compton Tucker. He is the senior biospheric scientist at Goddard Space Flight Center, and he's worked on a variety of projects that have used data that have been downlinked via the TDRS network. And so he can talk a little bit about how it is as a user of the TDRS network to actually get stuff off of it. So here we go. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jason, and good morning, everyone. Now, where I fall into the scheme of things with TDRS, I'm on the absolute back end because I use data which have been collected by satellites, and some of those data are then transferred to the TDRS satellite and then down to the various ground stations which are operated by the SCAN network. So I'm at the back end, I'm in the science area, I'm an earth scientist, and I use satellite data to study climate, because you can only study climate if you study the Earth as an entity, and you need to do this through time. So you don't just make a few measurements in 1 year, but you make measurements day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and decade after decade, because if you want to study climate, you need to look and see how things vary over at least a minimum of 30 or 40 years to understand what's happening, how things are changing. What happens inevitably is this poses more questions, why? And so we answer some fairly straightforward questions, but then we're faced with many more questions, and this is what we are involved in scientific research. So the point I want to make is that the TDRS system is vital, and TDRS-K is a third generation in the TDRS series of satellites, and so there are substantial improvements. As time goes on with our advances in engineering, we're able to build better and better satellites, make them more reliable, and make them much more capable, and TDRS-K is the first in the third generation of TDRS satellites. Now, I'm going to be talking about science data, and I will illustrate this by talking about some data from the Hubble Space Telescope and from Landsat 5, which ceased operations last year after a run of 27 years. But also, at the moment, there are some really interesting things within NASA. People are building instruments and deploying them on the International Space Station. And the reason we're doing this is because this is an ideal platform when you have a International Space Station, a reply mission, or supply mission, excuse me. You can take up an instrument and then have the people there bolted on. And then if you want to bring it back after 2 or 3 years, you can bring it back. And so this is an excellent platform for doing exploratory Earth and space science. Next slide, please. So this is just a schematic which I would think you may have in your handout materials showing where the TDRS satellites are. There are 2 which are operating plus several hot spares, but there are actually 5 or 6 that are operating, but the 2 principal ones are TDRS West and TDRS East, and the associated ground stations. Next slide. So this is a much better artist's view of the International Space Station, the Hubble Space Telescope, and then 3 of the TDRS satellites. But it gives you an idea of what we're looking at when we have these satellites in geostationary orbit, which means they're up just under 36,000 kilometers above the equator. And so as the Earth rotates, the satellite motion is such that the satellite is above the same point on the Earth's surface as the Earth rotates. And this is one of the advantages of being in a geostationary orbit. Now, what I'll be talking about are data from the Hubble Space Telescope and from Earth orbiting satellites at much lower elevations. And in the case of the satellites which I use, all of them are in polar orbits, which means they go around the poles as the Earth rotates. And the orbital period is about 100 minutes, and so you get data day and night, hour after hour, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. Next slide, please. So why NASA? One of the really cool things for me about working at NASA, and I worked at NASA now, God forbid, for about 35 years, is it's fun. I enjoy going to work, and I get to work with a bunch of people who are really interested in science and technology, and even if they aren't engineers or scientists, they really care about NASA, and they really enjoy the work which we do, and so it's just a lot of fun. And we're doing things which people have not done before. You don't always succeed. In fact, many times we fail, but we all know how much we have learned from our failures, and you just do it better next time and don't make the same mistake twice. Next slide. Now, one of the really cool things about working with the people in the in SCAN, the organization which is responsible for communications and space data, is that I get to stress why it's so crucially important to reserve portions of the electromagnetic spectrum for science. Now, this includes several very key frequencies which we use to study very unique features about the Earth's surface. So, for example, if we want to take temperatures of the atmosphere as the satellite is passing over, there are certain frequencies which are really, really important. In fact, they are unique. And so these are areas of the electromagnetic spectrum which are off limits to other people for other uses because of their paramount scientific value. The same thing is true if we want to study sea ice. At the South Pole around Antarctica or in the Arctic region, there are other frequencies which are crucially important to study sea ice and to do so uniquely. And then we have other instruments which are basically radars in orbit, and we use those to study sea level and how that varies over time. And the same in terms of the salinity of the oceans from a new mission called Aquarius, which is really unique because now we can look at the salinity of the ocean water and see how this varies and why. Now, on the TDRS-K satellite, there are 3 broad wavelength regions or frequency regions which are crucially important for the data transmission. And those are the S bands, the KU bands, and the KA bands. And the frequencies are here. And if you're curious, I'll be very happy to post my presentation to you, and you're welcome to use it in any way you would like. Next slide, please. So now let's talk about what is probably the most amazing instrument ever constructed by people, and that is the Hubble Space Telescope. Now, it takes me a lot of serious consideration to say that because I'm an Earth scientist, but my friends who are space scientists are fortunate enough to be able to use these data directly. Next slide. So one of the things from Hubble, which I find very cool and also amazing, is they've been able to estimate very accurately the number of galaxies in the universe. And it's only about 80 billion, or say 100 billion. So about 10 to the 11th total galaxies in the universe. Next slide, please. And then you can look in more detail with Hubble and actually begin to count stars in galaxies. And they're on the order of something like 100, 200 billion stars in each galaxy. And so next slide, and so when you just multiply this out, next slide please, you get just an incredible number of stars in our universe. well over 100 billion trillion stars, or about 10 to the 23rd power. But this is just indicative of the amazing advancements which have been supplied to us by the Hubble Space Telescope, and we wouldn't have these data if it wasn't for the TDRS satellite system bringing the data down to Earth. Now, next slide. So now I'm going to change my science focus from space science to Earth science, which I work in day after day, week after week. And this slide shows some of the constellation of the Earth orbiting satellites which many of us in Earth science use. And once again, these are in polar orbits, and the reason they are in polar orbits is to get repetitive data of the Earth over time so we can study how things vary. Our ability to use data from satellites and incorporate them into numerical weather prediction has advanced tremendously over the past 20 or 30 years. And with these advances from weather satellites, we're able to get very accurate predictions of what is going to happen 3 or 4 days out, 5 or 6 days out. But these same data over time provide information about climate, because climate is simply weather over long time periods, tens of years or more. Next slide. Now, I'm going to conclude my presentation and show some things which I'm working on. And in my work, what I do primarily is study global photosynthesis using satellite data, but I also study forest carbon storage, and I also study glaciers. And I've just completed a paper on the glaciers of Turkey, and my coworkers and I are working on a much bigger study where we're looking at the glaciers in the tropics. Now when you think the tropics, well, why are there glaciers in the tropics? Well, these are very unique glaciers which exist at very high elevations, from 4,500 meters up above 6,000 meters, up above 20,000 feet. And these occur, about 99% of them occur in the New World, from Mexico all the way down to Bolivia. And so what we're doing is using satellite data to study these glaciers, and they're also unique because they expand in the summer, which is the wet season, and they contract in the dry season or the winter. So these are in the tropics, they're very high elevations, and you have about 70% of these in Peru and about 20% in Bolivia. So to do these studies, we need to use satellite data because you can't walk around the margins of all these glaciers. There's simply too many, even though we do that in selected places for verifications of what we're measuring. Next slide, please. So this is one example of some comparisons which we were able to make, and we're very fortunate because of TDRS that we have data from Landsat 5 from the mid-1980s. Without the TDRS satellites in the mid-1980s, we would not have the archive of Landsat 5 data to work with for our glacier studies or for many other studies, because Landsat 5 documented a wide variety of land conditions in the mid-1980s only because TDRS was there to receive the data and then retransmit it to the ground stations. So what we're able to do is then take data from Landsat 5 from 1986 in this case, and also 2006, and we hope within the next year we will have data from Landsat 8, which is scheduled for launch, as someone mentioned, in just a few weeks, in 2 or 3 weeks. And it's with data like this that we have quantitative information, what is happening in terms of glaciers. Now you say, well, why are we so interested in glaciers? Next slide, please. Probably nature's best thermometer is ice. And when it gets warm, ice melts. And so this is a picture of one of my colleagues. I actually took this picture because this colleague is a much better ice scrambler than I am. We're up about 17 or 18,000 feet in the Andes. And what we do is we go to selected places where we have road access, and we walk around with GPSs on the margins of glaciers, because we need this information to compare about what we see in our satellite data. Because if you don't have an on-the-site verification of things, you could be radically wrong and very, very embarrassed. And so it's important to do selected field work, but you don't want to risk your life or limb if you're not certified and like to climb, which I don't. Anyway, so next slide. Now here's a picture of some places where I've been to where we simply walk around the margins of glaciers with a handheld GPS and then take selected GPS measurements, and then we will then compare those boundaries to what we observe in the satellite data. And if they don't agree, then we go back and do it again next year. But they do agree, and this is the basis for giving us a very high quantitative confidence in what we do. Next slide. So from our New World Tropical Glacier Study, and this is almost all the glaciers in the tropics and on our planet, what we have found is in the mid-1980s, we had about 2,500 square kilometers of glacier, and then by the mid-2000s, about a third of that had been lost. And this histogram shows you in blue where we had glacial ice in the tropics, which is then binned or stratified by elevation, and then in red where we had glacial ice for the same areas from 2004 to 2008. And what you'll notice is most of the loss, or the difference in these bars, is at lower elevations. So it's data like this which we use then to get information about glaciers and see why they're varying. Now at the same time, glaciers can vary because it is snowing less or it's getting warmer. So you also have to analyze precipitation data, you have to analyze cloud cover data, and you have to especially be very careful in what you're doing. And so we have done that, and unequivocally the culprit for the tropical glacier recession is warmer temperatures, especially warmer temperatures in the winter and at night versus in the day. Next slide. So in conclusion, TDRS is not only vital today, but it'll be vital tomorrow and in the future, and it's been extremely important for the collection of science data from space science and from earth science, because it's only when you have data to base things on that you can tell what's happening, and this moves things out of the realm of belief into the realm of observation. And we all know observation is great, and as they say, there's nothing like an eyewitness to spoil a good story. TDRS enables that to happen by its retransmission of data from satellites in my case, and it's a pleasure for me to be on the back end actually using data from Earth science satellites as a scientist, but I have to acknowledge the tremendous amount of work done by the engineers who build the instruments, who build the rockets, who launch them, who also provide the data system to get the data down. So one of the great things about NASA, once again, is we get to work as a team, and you get to work with a lot of people like all of you, I think, who are really interested in space, and it's just fun doing it, and it's a pleasure, and thank you for your attention.
So we've got time for a few questions, so we'll start over here.
Okay, so on your slide previous to the last slide, you showed a graphic of declining glaciation, right? At
yes.
Higher elevations, but at lower elevations. But at higher elevations, it seemed to be pretty, stay pretty level. So why is that?
Well, that's because as you go up in elevation, things get colder. The air temperature gets colder. And that's just a function that what is happening is the snow line or the ice line is moving up in elevation as it warms. And so you would expect this to not be as pronounced at higher elevations because of this temperature relationship with height. And so that is to be expected.
Does that mean then that carbon doesn't have as much influence as we once thought it did?
No, not at all. In fact, what it says is that you have this progressive warming of the lower atmosphere and the upper atmosphere too, but it's only in the lower atmosphere when that warming gets above the freezing point for more of the year, and so more of the ice melts. Now, it's also possible that it can ablate, and that is have a direct conversion from the solid state into the vapor state. But that takes about 8 times more energy than just melting water.
Okay.
So I hope I have answered your question and not confused you.
No, I would have presumed because of the sun's more direct contact with the mountaintops and higher elevations that it would have.
But you also have to think about nighttime temperatures.
Right.
And so what happens is even though you're at very high elevation, say if you're above 20,000 feet or 6,000 meters, it's going to be really, really cold, and the air temperature there is always going to be below freezing. That will not be true if you're down around 4,500 or 5,000 meters. And 5,000 meters is 17,500 feet, so you're still pretty damn high.
Terrific. Thank you.
So if you want to get warmer, and if you're working at high elevations, you always go down to lower elevations. There's the added benefit, there's more oxygen. Because one of the bad things about working in the Andes or in places where you have to work at very high elevations, it's not so bad during the day when you're active. And what we do is we drink decaffeinated Coca-Cola with aspirin, which is called cola aspirina. And that seems to get rid of the headaches of lack of oxygen. But at night when you sleep and your breathing slows down and you breathe more slowly and less deeply, you get less oxygen and you'll wake up after an hour or two with a splitting headache, have to get up, walk around, and then drink some of the decaffeinated Coca-Cola, take some aspirin, and then go back to sleep again for a few more hours. But this is really fun, and I'm not complaining that I really enjoy doing it, but some people wonder, well, what is it like to work at high elevations? Some people's systems, I can't take it, but I can usually adjust mine after a few days.
Okay.
Doctor, maybe this question is maybe more for Badri than yourself, but I want to talk to you about data relay recovery and how it's worked here. Obviously, bandwidth and time is a big concern. Standard procedural methods is the one-to-one linear fashion. And I'm asking you today, are there other methodologies that we're using here at NASA to relay heavy amounts of data? Because you're obviously using massive amounts of data that's coming back at you. Is it all one-on-one linear?
Well, I don't know the answer. I could guess at it, but it would be better, I think, if one of my network colleagues from NASA headquarters who could answer that in a very precise way. I can only assume how it's done, but that's guessing. So perhaps either Vic Sterling or Badri could answer that question.
It's okay.
It was a good question, but I don't know the answer, but I'm sure someone here can answer it.
Thank you.
And so Badri.
Can you repeat the question and I will attempt to answer it because this should
be. Here's this microphone if you want to use it.
All one-on-one computation, or are you using different types of like anagram data where you're sending a line, you can unlock the data, and give you the answer, or is it all one-on-one computation?
Yeah, for the most part, depending on the techniques that you use, we do not act much on the data. The only thing that we do with the data is to check the state of health. That means we have a link, and the link is viable and it's healthy to allow, for the data to be transmitted. Now there are a lot of techniques we use. How do we package? How do we frame? How do we transport? But it's not. We don't do it in a very unique way. We very often cater to the needs of the customer. And we have a variety of customers. On a daily basis, we support 100 of them.
Well, for example, in our space lab, based on the bandwidth and the time that we have to send out that data, I'm just curious if it is all one-to-one. Are you packaging up in a special zip file per se and sending it in the space network does not package, just it zips it as it gets it because you need it in real time. You cannot store and forward. While with the DSN, in some instance we do that. In some instance we need to send in real time, but not necessarily real time. In a way, serial. Okay.
We got a question down in the front.
Hey. So obviously you're working with the data coming down from the TDRS network. In terms of your personal schedule and your work, how does this data come to you? Is there a particular schedule that you're operating on? I'm just curious about kind of how your workday breaks down into terms of when and how this data comes to you.
Well, what my group does is we ingest probably 10 or 12 gigabytes of data every day, day after day after day. And it's painful, or it's painless to us because someone else has to actually go through making sure this happens, and then we just go to a secure website and have a very high capacity way of transferring the data onto our computers. But we have to deal with mass storage in hundreds of terabytes. And then one of the things with satellite data, when you use them, or with any data, is you have to have periodic reprocessings of the data because you've discovered that you have made errors in your previous processing. And so you figure out what those errors are, you correct those, and you have to back up and then go through the entire archive again. But this is just part of the job. So to answer your question, it's painless to us, it's largely transparent, and there's someone else who's done all the hard work on the upstream end of the data which we use. So.
We've got one last question here.
Since I have an Earth environmental scientist in front of us, quickly linking a question about, in China, they're just choking. And I have read about the China brown cloud and particulates in the air, which will, because of the particulates cut off some of the sunshine, you actually get cooling from that. Do you have any clarification of the issue of that?
Yes. If you're talking about aerosols in the atmosphere, which is what this brown cloud or whatever color it is, cloud is composed of, if these aerosols are reflective, what you say is true. They will reflect the shortwave flux from the sun back into space and away from the Earth. On the other hand, if they have any amount of what's called black carbon or very absorptive particles, then this will absorb the sunlight and this will then warm the atmosphere. Now, one of the questions about aerosols is, what is the net effect? Is it this cooling effect or is it this warming effect? There have been some recent papers just in the past several months which indicate that the warming effect from black carbon or these darker particles, which are aerosols, is much more pronounced than people thought before. But one of the key areas in climate where people are actively working to work this out is, what is the effect of these aerosols? Is it a net cooling effect or is it a net warming effect? And once again, it's only by having a combination of satellite data, so you know the spatial extent of these clouds and how they vary and where they are, in conjunction with ground-based data, that you can then determine what's going on, and then some intermediate data from airplanes where you fly through these clouds and actually collect them and then analyze what the particles are. So at the moment, the jury is out whether it's a net warming or net cooling effect, but it's being very actively studied at the moment.
Jury is out.
Yes, it's out, but it's not out for long, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we're going to move on now to a slightly different, more overarching umbrella level and look at some of the policy and planning that happens for how we enable the future, how we carry out what we're currently working. And so here today from the Human Exploration and Operations of Space Mission Director at NASA headquarters is Greg Williams, and he's the Deputy Associate Administrator for Policy and Plans there.
Good morning. Hi, I'm glad to be here this morning. I was fascinated by the previous discussion for a couple of standpoints. One is I can see why we do this social media event here in Florida and not in Bolivia. Otherwise, you'd all be having Diet Cokes and aspirin on your tables. One of the things that was fascinating about Dr. Tucker's presentation, well, one of the many things, was this picture of the universe and the billions of galaxies, the billions of stars in each galaxy, and then you could almost round that out by saying, okay, now in addition to surveying all those, we're also staring with the Kepler satellite at one particular little region of our own galaxy and finding there already some 2,600 planet candidates. So wrap your mind around that. Just in one little piece of one corner of one galaxy are 2,600 planet candidates. Then you think about, well, how many planets are there to go along with all those stars and galaxies? Is really a fascinating thought. And again, it's the TDRS system and the scan systems generally that allow us to bring all of those data back to the Earth. There is a few set of slides that I'll show you here. We'll try to spend too much time on them because they're mostly boring words, but we'll just talk about what are the kind of things that we really want to do. Let's go ahead and have the first one. Talk a little bit about TDRS and its support to station and shuttle, and TDRS's future and our future in human spaceflight. Let's go to the next one. TDRS is how we talk to the International Space Station. The International Space Station has been permanently occupied in low Earth orbit for 12 years now. It's now in its full utilization phase, which means that station's assembly is complete, and so now we're at the point where we can really get some mileage out of the use of space station. Oh, go ahead. The next one. In the future, again, the TDRS constellation you saw is aging. The last round of TDRS satellites were launched more than 10 years ago. TDRS-K is the first of a series of TDRS satellites that will replenish the fleet. TDRS-K this year, TDRS-L next year, and then we're planning beyond. And it's the TDRS fleet that's talking not only to space station, but also to SpaceX's Dragon Lab and other assets that are going to be flying to service the space station in the future. Let's have the next one. So speaking of the future, this is just one cartoon where we map out our future in human spaceflight. We're operating the space station. We're now engaged with a set of commercial partners who are going to be taking over the resupply of space station. We're already starting with cargo flights. SpaceX has had one so far. They'll have another one this spring. Orbital Sciences has their Antares vehicle on the pad at Wallops Island. We hope to have a demonstration flight of that in the spring, and then a first flight of it to the space station at the end of the year. And what that's going to do is it's going to free NASA up to leave Earth orbit and move beyond via the Space Launch System and Orion that Mr. Parsons talked about earlier. And where we want to go with those, again, is beyond the orbit of the Earth to the Moon, to the Earth-Moon Lagrange points, to near-Earth asteroids, and then eventually everybody's common destination in space is Mars. Let's have the next one. So this is how we talk about that. Mr. Parsons talked earlier about this capability-driven framework. This is what we mean by that. What we mean is that we're taking a stepwise approach into the solar system, starting with our initial exploration missions, of which space station is one. What we're doing on space station now is really going to enable our future in space in terms of learning how to work and operate in the space environment, then extending our reach beyond low Earth orbit to what we call cislunar space. Is that a familiar term to you, cislunar? Essentially, it means the volume of space around the moon. Because interestingly, it's the Lagrange points around the moon that are some of the most enticing locations for exploration beyond low Earth orbit. And then into the solar system, interplanetary space that we cover with SCAN with the Deep Space Network. And then eventually into low gravity bodies, near Earth asteroids, and the moons of Mars, Phobos and Deimos, and then eventually to Mars and beyond itself. And so what we're doing is with SLS and Orion, we're building the capabilities that are going to allow us to go to a variety of destinations in space beyond Earth orbit. So the next one. Again, the International Space Station is where it all starts. It's critical to our future in space. It's the destination for the new series of commercial satellite launch vehicles, and it's also what I have here described as an international collaboratory. And I sort of kludge those words together. What I mean by that is, yes, it's a laboratory in space. Yes, it's an international laboratory in space. But more than any of that, it is an international collaboration that is going to set the stage and the framework for the exploration we're going to do in the future. It's pretty much clear to all of us that our future in space beyond low Earth orbit is going to proceed internationally. No one country has the resources to do it alone. And when you think about it, our leaving the Earth really ought to be a whole planet endeavor. And it's the framework that we've established with our international partners in space station that is going to allow us to launch that international collaboration into the future. Let's go to the next one. Again, I mentioned the commercial cargo and crew transportation. You heard some more about that from Mr. Parsons this morning. We'll go on from there. Exploration systems development. Okay, so these are the capabilities that we're developing to succeed the space shuttle. The space shuttle had a 30-year run with some amazing missions to deploy satellites and service the Hubble Space Telescope and build the space station, but it was really designed to operate to provide access for crew and cargo to low Earth orbit. If you want to go beyond low Earth orbit, back to the moon or onto Mars, you're going to need an architecture that looks vaguely familiar from the Apollo era. You're going to need a heavy lift launch vehicle, and you're going to need a crew vehicle that's capable of flight beyond low Earth orbit and re-entry through the Earth's atmosphere. And that's what the SLS program is going to provide, along with Orion and the ground systems here at the Cape. Let's have the next one. The Space Launch System, again, will be the largest and most powerful launch vehicle that has ever been flown. It's going to have an initial capability of 70 metric tons, evolvable to 105 and 130, which I'll show you more about secondly. But it has to be affordable and it has to be sustainable. This has to be something that we can do in the economic climate in which we're in. If we're going to have a space program that ventures beyond low Earth orbit in this current economic climate, it's going to have those features of affordability and sustainability. Let's go ahead to the next one. This is the evolution that Jeremy Parsons alluded to earlier, from an initial Block 1 capability of 70 metric tons and 320 feet tall to a Block A, 1A capability with a larger payload fairing and 105 metric tons, which will allow us to do many of the cislunar things that we want to do. And then a Block 2, if we're going to go on to Mars, this is the kind of lift capability that we're going to need. We'll have to be able to fly a number of these to provide the kind of masses that would carry and sustain large robotic and then human expeditions to Mars. Let's go with the next one. This is the Orion multi-purpose crew vehicle. It has a crew capsule capable of supporting 3 or 4 astronauts, its own power system. One of the interesting things about this that's new in terms of our programmatic development internationally is that the service module for the initial versions of Orion is going to be provided now by the European Space Agency. That was an agreement that was recently completed, and we had a press conference down at Johnson Space Center a week or 2 ago to talk about that. Again, the most important thing about that is that it brings international partners into our future exploration programs. And that's something we're very excited about because, again, if we're going to explore to Mars, it's going to have to be in cooperation with other nations. Let's go on from there, please. I wanted to just return to this again because all of those capabilities we're building is fitting into a framework that is a stepwise progression from where we are now in low Earth orbit out to beyond the moon and on to Mars and even beyond that. Let's go have the next one. And just to conclude, none of this happens without TDRS satellites, right? When Badri and I and others were younger, there was only one phone company, and it was called Ma Bell, right? So Badri is, I think of as PA, Com, and Nav. Because nothing happens in space without the services that these folks are going to provide. And I hope you're going to be able to follow the launch tomorrow. We're really looking forward to it. The weather looks good, and I think we're good to go. I'm happy to take any questions you have with time remaining. Oh, thanks.
Do we have questions? Don't be shy, guys.
Yes, it's something you referenced earlier about the Lagrange points between the moon. I guess after post-ISS, are we looking to maybe put something in that spot as like a stationing point to go towards Mars or into the moon or beyond?
Yeah, there are a variety of things that we're looking at. We've done some studies on visiting a Lagrange point with Orion and SLS, being able to take or provide the capability for either us or a commercial provider or an international provider to have a capability, an outpost at such a location. We've talked about doing some sample return activities. For example, if you wanted to do sample return from the South Polar Aitken Basin of the Moon, which is a scientific priority, that it's possible that you could telerobotically control those activities from an Orion visit or a internationally provided capability at L2. So it provides because it's a gravitationally stable point, it provides some real opportunities to be able to sustain a presence, but also to be able to transfer to and from other locations to that point. So we're looking at a variety of things. And I think those things will unfold over the next few years as we begin to see the first Orion and SLS launches, and there'll be some enthusiasm generated for what we can do at those locations. Yeah.
Last year I was or a few years ago. A few years ago I was at Glenn, and they were working on the constellation program, which is, but they were working on the supply for the Orion. So, but you just said that that's going to be taken care of in the European market now. So that being the case, how is the research that was done at Glenn being transferred to them so that we don't have to repeat that kind of recreating the wheel?
Yeah, Glenn is very much involved in that partnership. Glenn will remain in the management of that activity. The Europeans will be working with Glenn and coming to Glenn to test and do the final design and not the manufacture, but the receiving of that and the testing of the capability. So Glenn's very much involved. And the arrangement with the Europeans is such as that they might provide one or two of those, and then subsequent ones would be manufactured by potentially by a vendor here. But Glenn is going to be managing that whole process. Glenn, in addition, is going to be doing some testing, by contrast, for the Europeans. The Europeans want to do some upper stage work with their Ariane, and they want to come to Glenn because Glenn has the capabilities to do that testing work. So they're going to remain very active in this area. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, with the, I don't know if you were following the recent refueling demo on the space station from, I think, last week, where they were able to robotically refuel and just kind of just demonstrate that. Do you see that as a possibility to have something like orbital fuel depots in space to kind of extend the reach of like, crewed missions and all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. There's a variety of applications for that kind of technology. One of which is our fuel depots in deep space. Another of which are the servicing of satellites in geostationary orbit. One of the things that the shop that created that technology is very interested in is whether they can extend the life of commercial or other assets in geostationary orbit by providing those kind of capabilities. But refueling depots in space are and servicing depots in space are something we're going to have to be able to get to. Refueling has a whole other set of problems with it because it's not just the manipulation of the satellite and the running of hoses and the connections to deconnections, but it's also the physics of the fluid transfer, which is something we're actually, our Space Technology Mission Directorate is also working on. They want to do some demos in that area, and then we'll be able to bring those technologies together and do some pretty interesting things. But that kind of robotic servicing in space is going to be critical to the future.
Does that include the backside of the moon as well? There's been talks in some of the space chat rooms about the backside of the moon and man-tiered station on the back of the zero gravity launch.
Yeah, the backside of the moon is intriguing for a lot of reasons. The fact that one could that it's easier to launch off a body with 1/6 gravity than one that's larger is intriguing. Although it's being able to actually when you go around and tour the Cape and you see the launch facilities and the complexity that's required, it's not just a matter of gravity; it's a matter of having the infrastructure there. So that's interesting. There are also those who like the idea of using the backside of the moon as an astronomical observatory. To be able to find a smallish crater there, fill it with a layer of mercury, and create a super smooth mirror to do some observations. So the backside of the moon is an intriguing opportunity. Yeah.
And you just answered a little bit of what I was going to ask, but with the new capabilities of the new rockets, is it possible to build bigger space telescopes, and would it be useful to put them further away from Earth?
Yeah, there is. The James Webb Space Telescope is going to open up a lot of those possibilities. The James Webb Space Telescope is going to be at the Earth-Sun Lagrange point, L2, not the Earth-Moon Lagrange point, but the Earth-Sun Lagrange point, which is 1 million miles away. It's going to be a 6.5-meter telescope, in contrast to the 100-inch, 2-meter telescope that Hubble is. And it's going to be a fantastic capability. The fact that we're doing that opens up still larger possibilities. There are folks who have imagined 20-meter telescopes and so on. And the whole if you've watched the animation of how James Webb is going to be deployed, you can see that there's a lot of automation and robotics involved in how that telescope will be unfolded. When you get to something that's 20 meters, now you're talking about really complex deployment operations in space, and the ability to be able to robotically control, robotically deploy and assemble, and then eventually robotically service such a telescope is certainly something that is an active area of conversation. And there are a number of publications and animations that go with that. There's I'm trying to recall the name of the book, but there were a set of proposals that were called vision missions. And if you Google vision missions and Mark Allen, he was the editor of that book, you'll be able to see, get to that set of publications that was done in cooperation with the American Association for, excuse me, AIAA, American Institute for Aeronautics and Astronautics, that will show you some of those concepts and what they might be for the future. But being able to assemble, deploy, and service those things robotically will be a key technology in the future, I think.
Do we have any more questions?
Okay, thank you very
Wonderful
much.
Then. Thank you. So we wanted to let you guys know that the rocket is now out on the launch pad, and we are continuing on with getting ready for launching tomorrow evening. So that's extremely exciting. As a result of the rocket being rolled out this morning and so on, our next speaker is currently on his way here from the launch pad and from overseeing things out there. So we're going to instead hear next from the Deputy Project Manager for the TDRS-K mission. He works on all the business side of everything that happens there, and his name's Mr. Gifford Moak, and he's from Goddard Space Flight Center. So.
Thank you. So I've got some slides that I'm going to run through here, and if we can throw up the first slide. Okay, so the second slide, please. So what my boss is going to tell you is that we're getting ready to launch here on 8/48 on Wednesday night, and we're excited about that. There's a little bit of a picture of the constellation. Badre's already talked to that. Next slide, please. So one of the reasons we have TDRS is so that we don't have tracking sites all around the world. So early in the 70s, we had tracking sites all around the world. We had problems with political unrest potentially with that. Coverage wasn't total. I think Badre also touched on that point. Next slide. So what we had was planes, we had ships, as well as ground stations. Next slide, please. So, you know, what we ended up coming up with was a concept to put some satellites up to transfer this data back down to the Earth as a way to kind of collapse down that infrastructure and make it more stable. And again, I think this is following what Badre talked about. Next slide. So Badre talked a little bit about the zone of exclusion, which was an area where we couldn't get coverage. And so next slide, what we did was we ended up adding some ground sites, one of which was Guam, to close that zone of exclusion. So if you go out to White Sands, New Mexico, which is where we have our 2 ground sites, we actually have the White Sands ground terminal, which was the original ground site that was built, and then we built a second TDRS ground terminal, and so that's on up the road a ways. And the next slide shows you both of the ground facilities. You can see in the lower right the second TDRS ground terminal, and the first one up at the top is the original ground site. So the big dishes are what we're tracking the data coming down from the satellites with. Next slide, please. So this is a picture of the White Sands with the flags. It gets very windy out at White Sands, so that's a pretty picture. Next slide. So this is another picture of the dishes in the back that you can see. Next slide. I've got a lot of pictures. I'm not trying to get into a lot of the technical stuff. If you've got technical questions, my boss will be here. As they said, I do more of the business end of it. But the dishes are pretty large. You can see the entrance to the building down there. So next slide. So this is an aerial view of the second ground terminal. Next slide. So again, the dishes in the background. The far dish in the back, the 2 far dishes are for the Lunar Reconnaissance Observatory. So that LRO, and then the other one was Solar Dynamics Observatory, which is looking at the sun. And they're dedicated dishes that are sitting there. So they're part of that complex that we ended up putting those there. But they're not really part of the TDRS network. Next slide, please. So again, a picture of the mountains in the background. This is a pretty picture. Next slide. So we've got some antennas in Guam. Those are the next slide. We've got several pictures of Guam. That's another next slide. So you can see the panoramic view of Guam. Next slide. Next slide. So this is the control centers that we have. So you can see the number of operators there. They're there 24/7, monitoring the health of the spacecraft, monitoring the data that we're getting down, making sure that the data is properly been transmitted, and transmitting that data back through to the users. Next slide, please. Another shot of the control center. Next slide. So who do we support? I think, again, it's a little bit repetitious, but we're supporting basically 4 groups. We've got human spaceflight that we're supporting. We're supporting a lot of the Earth science missions, which Dr. Tucker talked about. We're supporting the space science missions, Hubble being the most famous of which. And we're supporting launch vehicles as they go into their early orbit. So we can track those. It used to be that they'd run out of range, and there was a time where we'd lose contact with them. But we're able to do that now. So a lot of the missions that go off, even though they don't provide continuous support through TDRS, we're tracking those as they get launched off the pad. Next slide, please. So this is the concept today. It shows a little bit of where the spacecraft are at the moment. and where they're deployed. So they're basically at 3 points around the Earth. Next slide, please. So this was the original generation TDRS that we built. It's an interesting, if you got a business background or more into the business rather than the engineering side of it. I was a contracting officer at the time, so I helped administer the contract that wrote this. The spacecraft itself was built by TRW. It was under Space Communications Company, was our prime contract. And what's interesting about this is we didn't buy the spacecraft. What we actually bought was 10 years of telecommunications services. It was a very unusual contract, so what we did was we paid theoretically for service as we got it. It was, as I said, very interesting. It also meant that we were off-budget financed, which meant that it did not, when you went year to year, we did not get a budget from Congress. What we did was we borrowed money from the Federal Finance Bank. The company actually borrowed the money. We co-signed on the loan, if you will. And then as they actually got on orbit and as they started to provide us service, we started paying for that service, and we liquidated that. So it was a lease to purchase sort of arrangement. Next chart, please. So this is a launch on the Space Shuttle Atlantis for TDRS-E. So I think we've mentioned the first 7 spacecraft were launched aboard the shuttle. And since then, we've been launched on expendable rockets. Next slide, please. So this is the view of the TDRS-D inside the shuttle bay before it's released. Next slide, please. So what you see is the TDRS, and the back end of that is the upper stage that was boosting it, the initial upper stage. So next slide, please. And this is, you can actually see a full-scale model of this if you come up the Washington, D.C. area in the Air and Space Museum that's out at Dulles Airport. So it's hanging from the ceiling there. Next slide. So this is a second generation TDRSs. My boss started working on the first generation at the tail end of this, and he's been the project manager for a while, so he's he helped launch these HIJ. Next slide. So they were all launched aboard the Atlases. Those are the 3 Atlas launches that we did for HIJ. Next slide. So we're into the 3rd generation now. So a little bit of differences from spacecraft to spacecraft. Jeff's here? Yes, indeed. I'll turn this over to Jeff. He's a much better briefer than I am. We'll get her.
We're going to do something slightly different here. We've got a couple of different folks here, but this is Jeff Gramling. He's from the TDRS project, and he's going to finish briefing on here. And he can probably tell you what it looks like out on the pad and what we're going to be seeing later today. So,
thank you. All right, well, hello and good morning, everyone. We just actually rolled the launch vehicle out to the pad. Pretty exciting, so we're in good shape for tomorrow. So thank you, Gifford, for filling in, and I'm sure he had lots of neat information for you. So what we're launching tomorrow is what we call a 3rd generation, TDRS-K, L, and we're building M. So L will launch about a year from now, and M will be ready to launch in December of 2015. The main differences between TDRS-K and the HIJ spacecraft that preceded it were of course, lots of technological differences. While it may look quite a bit similar from the pictures you just saw about HIJ, much of the inside, the electronics, had obsolescence issues, had to be replaced. All of the payload electronics had to be redesigned, and the solar panels. If you saw a picture of the HIJ spacecraft, both of the outer solar panels in each wing would be populated. This is a more efficient technology. In terms of communication services, we've got the same communication services we had on HIJ. That's S, KU, and KA band on the single-access antennas. The one difference we did made was we went back to the architecture that we had on the 1 through 7 spacecraft, where we formed the beams for the single or the S band, the multiple access return signals. So it's kind of hard to see here, but this is our S band phased array on the nadir face. All right, we can go to the next chart. And this is just a blow-up, and you can see what's inside. The most obvious things are the 2 fuel tanks and the 2 oxidizer tanks there. You can see in the middle there. Next chart, please. And some nice pictures. This was TDRS-K in the factory. The one on the left is on the vibration table. The little the basket you see under it is to catch the things that we hope aren't there in terms of FOD and things. And then the picture on the right is actually the thermal vacuum chamber where we simulate the space environment. This chamber, we actually get raised up into it. This is in the Boeing factory in El Segundo, California. Next chart, please. And this is just a nice picture of one of the 15-foot single-access antenna reflectors. And there's kind of a unique piece of GSE they call the diving board, and it takes people with some unique skill sets to work on that thing. Next chart, please. And another one. This is the spacecraft with one boom deployed. We check deployments. There's actually a huge offloader here. So obviously we're in 1G environment. We've got to offload. And there's wires coming from each of these. This is ground equipment, and it supports the load of this boom. This structure here is a truss that's only used during launch in the launch configuration to carry the loads. And then once we deploy it on orbit, that's just floats along with the boom. It doesn't serve any purpose after that. Next chart, please. Just some more pictures of the spacecraft with the booms being offloaded. You can kind of get a sense of how big they are. Next chart. And there's on a rotating table there, that's with the single axis reflectors in the stowed configuration, and that's what we have to do to them to fit them inside the launch vehicle fairing. There's some Kevlar straps that once we separate from the Centaur after launch, we'll cut those straps and then they'll take their natural shape. Next chart. Another neat picture. And this odd-looking thing that you see sticking out here is actually one of our Omni antennas that we communicate with white sands, and that's how we would command the spacecraft in the event of a contingency. Once we get on station, that actually rotates out of the way, so it's not in the field of view of the S-band phased array antenna on the nadir face. Next chart, please. And there's one. I imagine that's before we shipped it. We put it in the shipping container. You can see the reflectors are unfurled, but the solar wings are folded nicely on each side with the outer panel exposed. So that would be the shape we stay in during the 10-day transfer orbit to power the spacecraft. So there's one exposed wing on each side of the spacecraft that we get power during that period. Next chart. And this is right before we shipped the K spacecraft. This was TDRS-K here on the right, and TDRS-L, which, like I said, will be launching about a year from now, on the left, being offloaded and testing the deployments. Next chart. Just another view of the same event. It was pretty unique, actually, that we had both spacecraft in that particular part of the factory in those configurations, so they've got lots of pictures. Next chart. And this is the spacecraft. Obviously, it would be in the horizontal position with the reflectors furled in the shipping container. So this is what went on the C-17 that we flew from Los Angeles to the shuttle landing facility in, and then that container would go to Astrotech in Titusville, and they would lift the cover off and take the spacecraft out, and that's where we fueled it for launch. Next chart. A picture of the C-17, and you can see the shipping container coming out of the back end. Next chart, please. And this is, there's some pictures from the vehicle process. So you can see the first stage booster there after they had erected it, and that's out on Complex 41. If you saw a picture today, we just rolled out to the pad, so we've actually got the whole rocket out on the pad with the spacecraft and the fairing at the top. It's pretty nice. I think tonight it'll be illuminated, so you may be able to see it if you're in Titusville. Next chart. Another picture of the launch vehicle from the bottom looking up. Pretty impressive, actually. Next chart, please. And here you can see a nice picture of the Centaur which is the upper stage, being lifted, and it will be mated on top of the first stage booster. Next chart. And here's our spacecraft folded very nicely, and you can see it fits just about perfectly here with the antennas folded, so not a lot of extra space. And one of the things we have to worry about in this design is it looks pretty comfortable and happy in that configuration, but during launch we actually vibrate a lot, so we have to worry about dynamic clearances for when it's vibrating. Next chart, please. And here's a picture of the spacecraft in the fairing after it's been hoisted, and it's actually being mated to the Centaur there. Pretty nice picture. That's up in the vertical integration facility out at Complex 41. Next chart, please. And this is actually before that picture. This was actually Saturday night a week ago. They do it, it was about 2 in the morning. There's a big convoy that moves up from Titusville out to the pad, and the spacecraft is in there. Pretty nice picture, and you can kind of get a sense of how big it is by comparing it to the vehicles right next to it. Next chart. And this was just a chart. In this business, it's it's not like building cars. It really does come down to the people. And for this particular spacecraft that we're launching this week, we've at peak we've probably had more than 500 or 600 people working the program between the government and Boeing, and then also making ground modifications at White Sands. And it really is about the dedicated people that you have who build these things, because it's almost all, or it is all, built by hand. Next chart. And that's the end of our presentation. Hopefully you enjoyed the pictures. It really is a nice process, and there's a lot that goes on, and I think we were able to find some pretty nice pictures to show you today. So thank you.
We want to thank everybody for joining us today at the NASA Social. We are going to be finishing off our TV broadcast here at noon in about a minute or so, and then we'll continue doing questions up here with Mr. Gramling and so on. For everybody who's following us online at home, please make sure to tune in to the launch tomorrow. We'll be covering it on social media. It'll also be broadcast on NASA TV. We'll also be covering everything else the agency has going on and continue to, so please follow us on @NASA on Twitter, or the NASA Facebook page, or the NASA page on Google+. So we really do appreciate everybody for paying attention and tuning in today to learn a little bit about this incredibly important mission and how it integrates into everything that NASA does. So thank you all very much for joining us at the NASA Social.